No one comes to see me because they're having a good day. In my line of work, people who come to see me are usually in some sort of distress. Oftentimes it's relationship distress. One of the things that I will often tell people and talk to them about is the reason they're in distress is because their needs aren't being met. And when our needs aren't being met, we generally feel bad. What we have are emotions that result in negative emotions, feel bad, and we have positive emotions, which feel good. I want positive emotions. I want less or no negative emotions. So if I have a need that's being met, I will have a positive emotion. If my need isn't being met, then I'll have a negative emotion. And primarily the emotions are there to let us know whether or not our needs are being met. And if we can figure out the feeling that we're having, the emotion that we're having, then we can also figure out the need that we need to have met. Because every need has a corresponding positive emotion and negative emotion. So I want to talk about the 6 basic human needs that we all have in order to feel happy and content in life. This list of 6 things I've adapted from Tony Robbins' TED Talk. If you haven't seen that, you can check that out. I'll put a link in the description. My list is different than Tony's, but there's some similarities. My list came from my own personal experience with both myself and with the people that I work with. My hope is that when you hear this list, it will resonate with you and that you will be able to see whether or not your needs are being met in your relationship and what those needs are, and give you some insights on how to go about getting those needs met. So the number one emotional need that we all have as human beings is we have the need to belong. We're herd animals. We are tribal people. We are not the fastest. We cannot swim. We cannot fly. But what we can do is we can cooperate. And that's what's helped us to survive all of these years and years that humans have been on the planet. Because we have an ability to connect with others and create relationships with others and then be able to cooperate with others. So written deep into our soul is the need to connect with other people. We know that, for instance, babies that aren't touched or are left alone, that those unfortunate children grow up to have a really messed up psyche. And we also put our worst criminals in solitary confinement because the emotion of loneliness is the most painful emotion I think a human can feel. The opposite of loneliness is the feeling of connection, or actually the feeling of intimacy. Intimacy is that feeling where you know for certain the other person has your back and you have their back. That person knows you, you know them. That person understands you and you understand them. And when we have a deep sense of connection, the feeling that we have is intimacy. And if you've ever been in a relationship with someone who knows you and you know them, you've probably felt that very deep connection of intimacy. But we all need to belong. The second emotional human need that we have, is the need for safety and security. I need to feel safe and secure both physically and emotionally. If I'm not feeling secure, if I'm not feeling safe, the negative emotion that I have is anxiety. If I'm feeling safe, then the emotion that I'm having is the feeling of peace and calm. For example, let's say your partner says they're going to be home at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock comes, they're not there. 6:30, you try calling them, you can't get a hold of them. 7, 8, 9, and all of a sudden, your need for security isn't being met because they're not being consistent. There's not a consistency there. When there isn't consistency, we feel a sense of anxiety. So in order to feel safe, we need to have a sense of consistency around us. The third emotional need is the need to feel respected, valued, important. Let's take that same scenario and let's say it's 9 o'clock and all of a sudden your partner drives up into the driveway and all of a sudden you feel this deep sense of relief. They're okay. All right. Okay. And you say, what happened? I couldn't get a hold of you. And they say, oh, yeah, I decided I was going to stop off at a bar and have a couple of drinks. And yeah, I saw you called, but I just decided I didn't want to talk to you. What's your response going to be? The emotion you're probably going to have is anger, because anger is that emotional need that happens when we feel disrespected or devalued or unimportant in some way. When people value us, the feeling or emotion we have is esteem. We feel like we matter, and that's a really good feeling. I need to both feel connected, I need to feel safe, and I need to feel important in order to feel connected, or rather, I need to feel important and safe in order to feel connected. And the top three needs are the very foundation of what every relationship needs to have. I need to feel connected, I need to feel safe, and I need to feel important. The fourth emotional need that we all have is the need for a vision. We need to know where we're going. We need to have a plan. If I don't have a plan, I'm stagnating. And the stagnation is I'm sitting there. Every day is Groundhog's Day. The feeling that I'm going to have in this circumstance is the feeling of boredom. The feeling of just sluggishness. When I have a vision, when I have a plan, then what happens is I get the positive feeling of feeling excitement. So, for example, let's say you decide you're going to go on a vacation. That's great. Where are you going to go? You need a plan. You need to pick a spot on the map to where you're going. And if you know where you're going, then there's a sense of excitement that goes along with that. In a relationship, I also need to know where I'm going in the relationship. There needs to be a plan. There needs to be a movement forward in order for me to feel important, safe, and connected. The next human need we have is the need to feel a sense of purpose. We all want to feel like we matter. We all want to feel like there's something that we're doing that's bigger than ourselves, that we're contributing to the greater good. If I don't have a sense of purpose, what I'm going to start to feel is worthless. Okay. I'm going to feel like that sort of sense of depression and sense of hopelessness. But if I'm in a relationship where I feel like we're doing something that's bigger than us, that there's a purpose behind this relationship, I'm going to feel a sense of worthiness. So if I'm in a relationship where I feel like I know that I feel like there's a purpose, there's something bigger that we're doing. And this is one of the reasons I think a lot of couples will do things like start families or create businesses together, something like that. They need to have a purpose, something bigger than themselves that they're working on. So if I have a sense of purpose, if I feel like I know where we're going, if I feel like I'm important, if I feel like I'm safe, then I'm going to feel that sense of connection in my relationship. The last human need that we have, the sixth human need, is the need for growth, expansion. We need to grow and change. It's part of who we are as people. If you're not growing, you're stagnating. And if you're stagnating, you're atrophying. And atrophy is dying a slow death. Growing, changing, it's why we go to school. It's why we learn things. It's why we read books. It's why we go to seminars. It's all about changing and growing so that we can feel a sense of satisfaction about life. Because if I'm growing, then I'm living. So if I'm in a relationship where it's stagnant and there's no higher purpose for it, maybe it's just based on sex or something. If I don't know where we're going, I feel a sense of like, where is this relationship going? If I don't feel important in the relationship, if I don't feel safe in the relationship, then I am not going to feel connected in the relationship. Instead, what's going to happen is I'm going to have a cocktail of emotions of loneliness, anxiety, anger, boredom, worthlessness, and atrophy. And that is a sucky feeling. And if you've ever been in a relationship where your needs aren't being met, you know the feeling that I'm talking about. The solution to this is we have to be in a relationship where our needs are being met. Now, I am the only person on the planet who's responsible for my needs, wants, and happiness. I don't seek that from other people, but I need to be in a healthy relationship where we are both interchanging and meeting each other's needs so that our feelings towards each other grow and expand. So if I'm feeling intimacy and I'm feeling safe and I'm feeling important and I know where we're going and we've got something bigger than ourselves that we're trying to achieve here and we're constantly growing and changing and learning, I'm going to feel really good in that relationship. So don't settle for anything less than that. Either talk to your partner about your needs that aren't being met and find ways in which you can meet each other's needs, or get out of that relationship and find a person who is healthier, who wants to meet your needs, and you want to meet their needs so that you can live in a harmonious relationship. I hope this has been helpful for you. I hope you've seen the purpose of the 6 emotional needs and how they can help you in your life and in your relationships. Please subscribe, share this with a friend, do whatever you got to do. It only takes you a minute. It doesn't cost you a thing. And I much appreciate it. Thanks a lot. I'll see you next time.